Please welcome Mr. Oded Ilam, former head of Counterterrorism Division in the Mossad, to be interviewed by Amichai Stein, diplomatic correspondent for the Jerusalem Post.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Oded Ilam. I'll ask, first questions. When you saw last week smoke rising out of Doha, and 10 minutes later Israel taking responsibility to trying and kill Hamas most senior terrorist, what went through your mind after all these years in the Israeli security establishment?
First of all, thank you for having me, and a distinguished member of the diplomatic corps. I just want to say one word. Many years ago, before I joined the Mossad, I wanted to be like Ambassador Hackby. Not an ambassador, but a rock star. It didn't work out, so I turned out to be a spy. Now, relating to your question, first of all, I think what Israel had been trying to do is turn the page and start a completely new ball game in the region, which means there is no more immunity to anyone who hosts terrorists. It's done. And the fact is that since 2012, when the Hamas was expelled from Syria, they found refuge in Doha. And it's not just refuge, but it's a full support by the Qatari regime. We are talking about $1.8 billion so far since 2012. And I'm not just talking about the financial support of Hamas. I'm talking also about the media support, especially Al Jazeera. Let's not forget all those horrific scenes when the hostages were released were orchestrated, they were featured and even directed by Al Jazeera. And Al Jazeera is the right hand of the Qatari regime. So in that sense, Israel was trying to portray that we are not in that game anymore. The outcome is a bit different.
So we'll ask you about the outcome, but before that I will ask you, how do you see Qatar's role in the Middle East in recent years?
Qatar's roles in the Middle East had started in the late 1995, something like that, when Qatar realized their vulnerability. They possess the world's biggest natural gas resources, about 77 million cubic meters per year. It's going to be even more than that. Huge, immense amount of wealth. Of course, the media, and of course, they're buying politicians, they're buying institutions in Europe. The Empire State Building belongs to the Qatari. And I'm talking about also about 30% of the major buildings in London are owned by Qatar. And so in order to protect this sort of investment, they found the trick. And the trick is, let's be the middleman. Let's be the one who on one hand support terrorist organizations, and it's not just Hamas. Let's not forget, it was Al-Qaeda, it was the Taliban, It is Jabal al-Nusra right now in Syria, and of course in Hamas. And on the other hand, we will be the middleman, the people, the go-between, the one who you can talk, the one who can cut a deal. Okay, it reminds me a little bit of Charlie Chaplin moving The Kid, where he sent the little kid to break windows, and then he comes with the card saying, "Who wants to fix a window?" That's more or less Qatar role in this area. And that the fact that Qatar is involved in any major conflict around the world make them, in a way, a superpower. They're superpower in the media, they're superpower in the politics, and of course economically. And so Qatar established a very peculiar but very successful way of conducting themselves in the region and being a major player. Everybody is looking up to Qatar. Whenever there is a conflict, let's go to Qatar. And this is the major obstacle that Israel is right now facing in the war against terrorism.
So that it's no secret that Israel tried also to downgrade Qatar's role in the mediating. And the strike last week, and Israeli officials, I remember, called me on the day of the strike, said this was one of the goals. What do you think will happen now with Qatar's role in the mediating? Will Israel at least attempt to achieve this is accomplished?
First of all, Qatar right now is playing the victim. Everybody is trying to cheer them up and to say supportive sentences and words toward Qatar, then it plays good because Qatar likes to be a victim. Remember, in just about 2016, they were banned by all those countries around Qatar who are right now approaching Qatar and with all sorts of gestures. But Qatar needs the position of intermediator. They need it. They will not abandon that very quickly. In the short term, I can see, of course, downgrading their capabilities and downgrading their involvement. But soon enough, they will try to regain their status. And it's a big question whether Israel should accept it or not. My personal view is under no circumstances we should allow Qatar to resume their role unless they abandon completely their anti-Semite stand. They abandon completely Al Jazeera, which is being seen by 40 million Muslims around the world, and it's the biggest media in the Muslim world and the most influential one. And another series of acts in order to put them as a real, candid, and true intermediator.
Now, a final question. You know, we're talking about the Hamas senior terrorists abroad, inside Qatar. How much influence at the end do they really have on the question, can a deal be reached or a deal can't be reached? Isn't the real power amongst those who are holding the hostages, terrorists inside Gaza?
There's something very unique had happened in the last, I would say, 8 months. The shift from Gaza had moved to the external forces who are residing in Qatar, mainly Khalil Haya, Jabarin, Nizar Wadallah, and
people you know closely.
Yeah. And they are the most influential right now in the negotiation. And oddly enough, we see that they are more stubborn and more hardliner than the one who in Gaza. And there's some sort of, I would say, puzzlement. How can it be? They are the most influential one. They are living in Qatar. Qatar is an intermediator that should have some sort of a positive effect on the people in the negotiation table, and it's on the contrary, which give me some sort of suspicion that Qatar itself is involved in this hardline stand that we can see in the negotiation. By the way, until now, not even once the Qatari had blamed the Hamas for the failure of the negotiation. The American did, the Qatari didn't. And so one of the objectives of this targeting was to remove this obstacle from the negotiation, to remove those hardliners who hinder and make any sort of new proclaims in order to hinder any kind of a deal, and unfortunately it failed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ilam, for your great insight and interesting insight of all these years. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.